Thank you very much, Wolf. And somebody please call the Fruit Police, because what happened there? Not only was Tyrande kind of a lemon here, but Negative Synergy, they just didn't look good at all, Todd, here. What's going on?
I don't know, like already from the draft, it was kind of weird, you know, the way it was going down, you know, Tyrande and, you know, Tassadar, like, then the Falstad not staying at the top, the casters, you know, kept on talking about it, but that was, to me, like one of the most important things that they should not have let happen, with, you know, letting that entire top lane die before eventually like trying to defend there. And then I talked about how they were going to have some initiative as well, you know, when you have Arthas, Thrall, Tyrande, but that never really came to fruition. They just fell apart before that, and nothing ever really went in their favor this game here.
I mean, it was just the biggest thing. I mean, there was I don't want to say mistakes made, but I mean, the draft was a little bit weird with Tyrande, Tassadar, as you said. But like some of the calls, as the casters continued to point out, I mean, I feel like a lot of it lended in favor. Renovatio turned this series right around. It's 1-1, and now going into Game 3, I mean, it's kind of up in the air. I feel like.
Yeah. Things kind of snowball out of control when you have a draft like that. I was talking to Dredd during the draft, during the game as well, whilst we were watching it, and we both agreed that Negative Synergy didn't really have too much wave clear, and when it snowballs that far, it's very, very difficult for them to catch up again because their lanes are so far pushed up, and it's very difficult. You have to send a Tassadar somewhere to clean up a lane for 20, 30 seconds, and then he's not in the fight, and then during that, Renovatio can continue on. I really wish it wasn't a Tyrael ban. I really wish it was a Greymane ban and then picked something else other than Tassadar and Tyrande.
I also feel like Negative Synergy, they lacked some punching power here, but J-How can tell us more when we analyze the first replay.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some key moments that were really kind of the telltale, the beginning of the end. Now, we'll go ahead and pause it right now. Let's highlight two things. The levels, right? It's 13-16, and this is what the casters were talking about, is the fact that they were eventually going to have to try and force a fight. The attrition was going to be there, and they start to push this in, as you're going to see everybody coming in. Thrall way too far up. He's going to try and go. You'll see a Sundering try and come out in return. Avatar there, and it's just not going to do anything. There's one stun, but for the most part, this was kind of the beginning of the end of what we started to see from here, because this kind of led over to the next fight, which we were just talking about before we came on screen, is that they were kind of forced into these fights that they didn't probably want to take, but they were almost forced to. Kalaris, you were talking about the snowball effect. It almost felt like they were forced. I mean, they were on their core towards the end, and then they forced the fight, and it was almost like they had to. They were already 2 keeps down.
And realistically, when you look at the lineup of Negative Synergy as well, when they get forced into those kinds of fights, there's not a huge deal when it comes to disengage potential. Yeah, they have a Lunar Flare if they're able to hit it, like in that fight, for example. They have a Lunar Flare if they're able to hit it, or Arthas to slow down if they're able to hit it. It all relies on precision. And in these flustered moments, precision oftentimes does go out the window when you've got a lineup like that.
Mad props to Renovatio, though, for using the first game as a huge wake-up call. Like, they were having a lot of discussions, actually, after that game, whereas Negative Synergy, you know, they were, like, all smiles and kind of, you know, celebrating after map number 1, but they really came through here in that map number 2 after all the discussion.
It showed. They were on point. As you talked about, they were on point with their calls, where game 1 was a little bit shaky, sometimes a little bit too aggressive. Here, they played it very, very well.
And keep on talking, J-How, because we have another replay waiting, right?
This is like the beginning of the end. Again, they were forced into these fights. I mean, they're down 2 keeps, and this is the biggest thing. I mean, you can almost see, look, all members continuing to push up here, and they're getting so far in. Arthas up very far. And it's just like they got in so far. Let's go ahead and pause it real quick, because the highlight we're going to see is we're going to see the dive in from the back and instantly put pressure on the team. We'll go ahead and let's go this a little bit slower here as it starts to play in. Everybody come in. The Ancestral's going to land on the backside. And it was the beginning of the end. The Mighty Gust a little bit too late. Everybody starts to go down. And it's 17-14 at this point, Kalaris. And it was just way too hard for them to come back from. This is the fight that pretty much sealed the deal.
Yeah, I agree. The thing is that when you look at this comp, and especially this fight, you saw how far Arthas was far forward to actually take that fight initially. They were edging for that fight. They wanted that fight. Once Arthas actually gets deleted and disappears, because you've got Tyrande Tassadar in your composition, which is fulfilling the role of 1 support, 1 damage across both of them in essence, your front line is diminished. It's gone. And then you have no sustainability in that team fight at all once Arthas is deleted.
We didn't have a ton of time to talk about this because we try to talk about the games like right before we come on, because there's some key things that happened. Right before this, they lost their top keep, and they were basically forced back. They fought back around their core. And as you said, there's 2 keeps down. It's 17-14 at this point. Do you feel that they needed to take that fight? I know, like, not much longer. They weren't going to be able to survive with only 1 keep left, and the temples would do their job. But was that the moment that they needed to force it? Because they literally were under their core and then basically pushed out. I mean,
think we might disagree on this, me and you, but I think that I feel they'd already lost the game by then. So it's like you die if you do and you die if you don't in the end. So it's like someone last ditch
Just
effort
get it
to
out of
try
the way.
It's the easy way, actually. Yeah, it's the easy way. Like you can either think, okay, well, it's not been going our way. Like we're struggling in this game. Either we cannot, try to hang in there and take a better fight down the line, or we just say, screw it and just take a fight right now and see what it can bring. And in this case, just didn't work out very well.
If you're
for
at
them.
14 and you're trying to soak a 16 when you're down 2 keeps. By that time, your opponents are going to be 19 and then verging on 20.
That is literally the worst feeling when you're not even close to catching up in terms of level tiers. By the way, we know what the third map is going to be between Negative Synergy and Renovatio. It is going to be Cursed Hollow. So it is a map that is, of course, known to be a little bit of a comeback driver because there are those narrow passages around the boss areas, most prominently around the Curse area, where one move can actually decide the outcome of the entire match. And once again, it might not be too bad of a map for Zeratul, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, Caleres talked about this yesterday. Maybe they learned something, or Ty did, and we talked about maybe they learned something from their draft yesterday when they won against MVP Black, where MVP Black ran Zeratul on Cursed Hollow in the very first game and dominated that map.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you pointed out very nicely in map number 2 as well how it was like textbook MVP, the way they were doing it as well. So if the trend continues here, I guess we're going to see something like that from Renovatio here, with them continuing.
Okay.
False stat ban. I like that. Renovatio really likes it on this map, especially with Regar in first rotation, like when they eventually get onto their next picks. So I like that false stat ban from Negative.
Do we see maybe Abathur come out?
I'm sorry?
Do we see Abathur come out here?
Oh,
or
if there's a map, this is the one. I don't have as much data on these teams. I think Caleres might. I know some of the other teams that are here this week.
What was the question, sorry?
Abathur possibly on this map. If this is a map, this is the one.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of, is it in your comfort level? And think about it, guys. This is game number 3.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you lose, you're done.
Yeah.
Do you want to bank on Abathur
Renovatio
with your
has
life?
run it. Renovatio has run it on this map, and then if they don't get it later on, this is you're looking like that, but ETC is very common for them.
First pick common?
Even first pick common, it can happen for them. Yeah, they did it. They've done it on Tomb before. They did it against Relics in their finals, and Regar there as well. So this is saying, okay, we couldn't get false stat in our first rotation. Let's swap that with the ETC, which we like anyway.
Did Negative Synergy learn their lesson on supports? Yes, they did. They instantly go Uther and leaving finally
And
makes
they
it back
also
in.
pick up Li Ming. Definitely
This
a
is what they
change
should
of
have
pace
done
here.
last map.
I think this bank could be Tyrael. If they, we've seen Negative Synergy use it on other maps before, and I think that they may respect it. Because, again, I mean, of course, Muradin Tyrael isn't a common thing, but... Yeah,
Tyrael on Cursed Hollow is just because of that holy ground?
Yeah,
Yeah,
makes
it's
a lot of
strong
sense
this
on
map.
this map, right?
I don't know if that's... I feel like they need to play within themselves and their strengths, and they have shown that they can play Tyrael. But as Caleres just said, I'm not sure if Muradin Tyrael is going to get you the most value.
No.
Also, there could always be an expected Kalthas ban if you just don't want to deal with those living bombs. Tassadar, although both teams don't seem to value him that highly, as Calder and Wolf also pointed out, is certainly always there for the taking.
We talked a little bit about Sylvanas earlier. Do you feel that with ETC there, that you might want to try and have, I mean, obviously Uther has a stun, Li Ming has Wave of Force. Do you want to try and maybe have a backup source of some type of interrupt?
I think they should ban Sylvanas here, because I think Negative Synergy could easily go for it in their next pickups. But they're going to ban Greymane, which is the ban that I wanted them to go last game. Why are they doing this every single game? They're like, well, we'll do that in the next game.
So, if you are on the side of Renovatio on the left-hand side here in this draft, do you actually think that they can ride this wave of momentum? What was their biggest strength in the last game? What should they once again focus on to dominate this game 3 as well?
Well, I think Sonya is a great pickup.
Sonya,
Kalthas
definitely.
still on the board. And you talk about these tight choke points, the narrow gaps that you'll find in Cursed Hollow. The fact that Living Bomb with the inherent chain bomb built in now, that can wreak havoc. And it can also change drafts. Like if you want to go melee heavy and you're looking at a Kalthas, you might actually look to go against something like that or go away from it.
Yeah, they can save their last pick for something special, maybe even adapt to what Negative Synergy will pick in this case, potentially. And it looks like Sylvanas here is going to
Caleres, did you study?
Did I study? Yeah, kind of. This is 4 of their 5 comfort picks across almost all maps. 4 of their 5. The only one that isn't there is Greymane, which was banned second. To be fair, false stats, so let's say 4 of their 6. But yeah, it's good.
But
for them.
all alike, though. I quite like the draft so far from Negative Synergy. So I feel like in that last game, both teams are basically going for what they feel most comfortable with, and they're just going to try to bring the big guns to do the job, I guess.
I like the fact that they banned out Greymane and not Kael'thas. I almost feel like Kael'thas is pretty much a given. I don't want to say it's a given. I think there's some possibility, but I really feel like Renovatio needs to solidify a lot of damage with that last spot. Thrall being a good pickup there. I like that for Negative Synergy.
I think if they go a second warrior here, I think Renovatio goes Tychus last.
Really?
I think if they...
Can you talk us through that Tychus prediction maybe,
Level
James?
4?
Because I'm not sure about that. But it's
kind of good.
I would like to be wrong.
The thing is that I think that they need a double warrior to contend against... maybe not a double warrior. It's only an ETC.
The fact that they went Thrall up there, I think, really helps.
Yeah,
like
it does
Thrall,
help the front line.
Sonya, they have their own strengths, but I feel like they kind of are neutral. They kind of counter each other in a lot of ways. They're different play styles, obviously, but I feel like 1v1, a few months ago, it was almost like you had to have somebody on that front line to help secure your front line. But now with the strengths of the Warriors, I feel like there's a lot more flexibility. But right now, I feel like they have so much on the table, does Negative Synergy to fill this last slot.
What about a TRL?
I still want a Tyrael. I'll be honest with you. I still want a Tyrael. And I think I felt that.
I was getting ready to say this. Do you guys think Zagara adds vision?
He's still in the game?
She's still in the game.
It's funny, though, because it is similar to the European regionals and tours in Leicester when Zagara wasn't actually that valued highly until the very end of the tournament. But she's a hero that we still have to put into the account.
Not to speak to these two regions in general, but when we were studying the statistics of globally, of the specialists between Sylvana, Zul, Zagara, and this is a wide amount of data, Zagara actually has the highest win rate of specialists, and Cursed Hollow was her most played map. Right. And rightfully so. I think the vision that you get from the creep, just overall, she's a great pickup.
There's really not much to help and deny that vision as well. Like, who's going to remove creep tumors? Like,
how is Kael'thas not taken yet?
I don't know, and they're going to go into Vala? That's what I said. I thought the last round, I said it's almost a given that it's going to be Kael'thas. And if I'm wrong, that's poke. That's poke right there on the tribute.
Yeah.
That's all that is.
Yeah.
And try and blow up whoever's at the front.
I don't think they're going to be able to blow up. I mean, even if they go Hungry and Arrow build, Thrall,
I'm
Murden,
not sure, though, but if I want poke, I would always value Kael'thas higher than Vala, wouldn't I?
Well, if you go composite arrows at 1, you get range on your multi-shot, but I don't think that's enough to...
No, I think they will end up going Siphoning Arrow. I think
Yeah,
they'll go
that's what I'm saying. If they go Hungry and
fully.
Arrow to deal with the front line,
That's normally what they end up
By the way,
running. It's very Chinese-esque, even though they're not from China, let's be fair. But
The ETC was the opening hero here from Renovatio. How is he going to land a mosh pit against these guys? It's going to be pretty hard, I think.
that's a lot of stuns on the other side, a lot of interrupt. And especially if Wave of Force comes out from Li Ming as well, this ETC is dead in the water.
Do you feel it's a necessity? I mean, Uther, he's a melee-ish type hero. He kind of reserves himself a little bit to the back line when he plays that healing role. But again, we're talking about tight choke points. We saw it yesterday to where ETC and Li Ming were against each other, and they both waited. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Who's
You
going to
just don't
pick
do
yours
anything.
first?
Yeah.
You pick yours, then I'll pick mine.
like,
Li Ming bases it off of ETC.
In the previous game, we've seen Negative Synergy going for a little bit more like an older meta with Tassadar and Tyrande. Do you think that we might see crazy things that happened in NA when ETC was going for stage dive a lot of times, or is that just a fairy tale?
I mean, there is no true global mobility, and the only one you can actually get it out of is ETC. I just don't see it happening.
They could go
And they hack
stage dive leap. It's happened.
It's a thing.
We've
It's a
seen it.
thing.
We've seen it. I don't think they will, but it is
I would
possible.
love to see
It's
it,
actually
though.
not bad on this map.
And the fact that you get Wailing Arrow on that back line, you say, hey,
Yeah.
we're going to get to you quickly. It's just a matter of where's the follow-up damage. Is Vala going to be able to provide that?
This storybook became a fantasy tale, I can tell you that.
Absolutely, yeah. So there we go. Kalaris, why don't you conclude this segment with your prediction on this final game between Negative Synergy and Renovatio 1? Who's going to take it?
I'm going to go Renovatio.
Renovatio?
Yeah.
Do we have lemons in this game?
No. No lemons. Oh, yeah, ETC might be a lemon, even though I'm going with Renovatio. Oh, no, I've ruined myself.
Todd, what do you think?
I'm going to stay on the Negative Synergy hype train, man.
Never giving up, man.
Yeah, Renovatio are wearing biker jackets. They've got ETC and the guitar. It's time to go and listen to some music in Stockholm.
Todd, I'm with you, my man. Negative Synergy.
Right. I will once again have to back up my man from the Great Britons, which is, of course, Kalaris. I think Renovatio, they just played so flawlessly well in the second game. I don't think they're going to give it away. Also, I do love their leather jackets. But let's actually drop it over to Mr. Wolf and Calder, because they are just eagerly waiting.
All right, guys, so we're going to go into our next and the third game. We have a very interesting draft. Early ETC pick, already catering to a potential stage dive. I mean, if you drop him this early in the draft,
there's got to be a reason, right? There's got to be
Yeah.
a special cheese strat or at least some sort of crazy idea. This is not just sudden prioritization because they haven't picked him yet. Early on in this entire best of three, so they've even banned him twice.
Yeah,
so.
they run it with a Sonya. There could be a leap strategy. If they want to go full cheese here, they could try and pull that off. Sylvanas played here once again by VI. We have Sonya on Jumpy, or played by Jumpy Lion. Har is on the ETC this time. Stronger on Rega, and his score is playing Vala in this game.
And on the side of Negative Synergy, Ninja is on Li Ming. Zagara is being played by Benjamin. Muradin being played by Robodoba. Sashin on Thrall. And Daspert's on, yet again, Uther.
I'm really curious to see how exactly Renovatio is going to play this. I mean, if you see a Vala in-game, then usually what you would expect is an attempt to use the Mosh Pit as a setup for the potential Rain of Vengeance, especially on a map like Cursed Hollow, of course. I'm a little bit curious to see how exactly they're going to play that ETC. It's definitely one of the heroes that we're going to watch out for going into level 10. Early on, of course, again, the attempt to snipe a few structures here. But with the Zagara in their midst, we're seeing Negative Synergy basically just doing exactly the same thing in the mid lane.
Yeah, and they're 5-manning it, so they're going to be able to do a lot more damage as long as they rotate into the lanes to make sure they get their EXP as top and bottom come in. I think this is going to be a good situation for them. Not a huge advantage either way for both teams, but 2 towers killed here by Negative Synergy. Nothing Har can do on his own about that. And let's see how well they deal with VYY this time. This is the biggest problem that they dealt with on Sky Temple. Obviously, we have very different compositions this time, and Falstad was first banned. But they do need to send someone to deal with him. They can't just let him run amok in the top lane again.
Arrow build being used on Vala up to the
Sashin
top.
alone.
Sashin goes in. Har comes in as well. There's the kill against Thrall. He is down. Sylvanas dying too. It's a 1-1 trade as we suddenly have Jumpy Lion coming in too. He goes for Ninja. The slow on the fort is saving
and they might have to
Li Ming.
grab this kill. Look at that orb. Down they go. And Stronger is going to have to wolf out of here.
Wow.
That is, I mean, this is...
That turned around really quickly. I mean, it started off with a very good kill against Thrall, then Sylvanas dies, and what looked like a kill against Li Ming turned out to be the death of Sonya, who went a bit too deep into fort range.
I think it went well for Negative Synergy at the end of all times, but Sashin was really playing with fire there, and his team did not rotate up quickly enough to help him. It's just another one of these stories of overextensions, though, in this best of 3.
It's definitely an interesting setup that we have right now, and especially that Zagara is a little bit reminiscent of what especially My Insanity loves to do really on these maps. It's going to have a lot of vision around those curse points as well, and you are of course trying to control the map. You are attempting to make sure that you always know when your opponent is attempting to flank you. You will also have decent vision around the bosses, which is absolutely crucial on this map here. So the map vision alone should give them a bit of an edge heading into these tribute fights.
Nice dodge there by Highscoa, but I do want to point out we have Astral Presence for Li Ming, one of those talents that got nerfed a long time ago, right after her release, and sees competitive play every now and then, usually on maps where you're just going to be blasting missiles out over and over and over again. This is going to be, the main poke attempt that they're going for, so basically they never have to worry about their mana. Also, Zagara going to be able to drop her roaches down, so a lot of poke for Negative Synergy to deny tributes, so they may be able to try to get some extra soak.
Yeah, that poke is going to be very crucial, and it's one of the things that we oftentimes had missing for the opponent's team. In this case, they have at least a Vala to poke a bit. But still, the lineup for Negative Synergy is extremely solid here. I am actually liking that quite a lot. It depends a bit on Thrall trying to get that flank with a Sundering. And of course, we still have to watch out for how cheesy Renovatio wants to play this. If they really go for Wailing Arrow, Leap, plus also Stage Dive comp, they could attempt to pull that off. We've seen it in the past.
I mean, there's also the Rain of Vengeance that comes in with this as well. I mean, it's very feasible, You can make arguments for it. You can start to put the pieces together of this crazy idea, but it's possible that we can see this.
It's a do or die. I mean, it's high risk, high reward. If you're really willing to pull something like this off, you can do it. And the one thing, of course, that keeps us thinking that it might happen is that ETC was shown as the first pick. And normally when you show ETC as the first pick, you will realize that there's very little chance that you're going to get value out of a Mosh Pit.
Yeah. It's interesting the way this has turned out so far. It's so far away before we even get to that point. But it looks like, yet again, Negative Synergy is going to get this basically for free. VYY is pushing the top lane yet again this time. No one there to deal with them. And look, they're even going to send Sonya up there to pair with her to block anyone from rotating. Look, Jumpy Lion's looking to block Sashin from coming up here, and she's actually working on that fort, doing more damage, really, than these Giants will probably do.
I have to say that Sylvanas gets, in the last game and this game, way more value than she should. This should not happen. If you play against the Sylvanas, you need to rotate differently. Look, she's still alone at the top lane. She's getting kills, and at the bot lane, they're losing Zagara. This is a disaster. Negative Synergy is making massive rotation misplays right now, and they are losing on all lanes.
I think this is really a response by Renovatio being like, you know, last game they kind of had a problem dealing with this. Let's try this again. And this time they even had Jumpy Lion to escort her just to be safe. And Sashin came up, he stuck around for a while, he was really indecisive, and they almost, because he was kind of bouncing back and forth, lost a kill down at the bot, and they are on curse point here. I mean, they need to. I'd say they need to grab this.
I mean, we're not saying that they're not far, they're not behind or anything. It's still an 8-8 when it comes to the levels. The problem is that they really seem to have a bit of a problem dealing with Sylvanas, and that's a bit shocking to me. Now we have Jumpy Lion at the top. That means that it's going to be an easy curse. They're not even trying to contest this.
Yeah, this was an interesting play. I mean, I guess part of the reason why they do this is they don't have as much poke as Negative Synergy has. So they're just like, well, what can we really do to deny this? We already do have 2 in the top lane.
It's an early curse. Let's see how much value Negative Synergy really gets out of this one.
It's going to be the heroics first. You know, that's what they can pretty much guarantee with this. Sashin going to take some damage here on his own curse, but we'll actually be fine to just back off behind that fort.
I mean, that also means that there are 2 heroes up at the top lane that can't defend mid or bottom.
I'm just really excited to see what Renovatio is going to do. And for me, like I'm just watching that EXP bar intently. Once they hit 10, what they're going to choose.
To me, it really looks like Negative Synergy doesn't have a lot of experience playing against Sylvanas so far. But they have the curse, they get some value out of it, still the experience lead for Renovatio, but with now a fort being very low in the mid lane and also at the bottom, where Vala is currently defending, they could head into the next level. We have a quick pause here. Apparently there are a few problems, but still, like, Wolf, what do you think so far about the game? Especially talking now about the passivity that we have on the side of Renovatio when it comes to tribute channels, but at the same time, this aggression with Sylvanas to push lanes.
The more I look at it, there's just not a lot of poke for Renovatio, so I guess they're going to just try to, at least in this early stage before they have their heroics, do structural damage on their own and not rely on the objective. And it has been working for them, so props to them for that.
Yep.
And this curse actually doesn't get a ton done for Negative Synergy because they actually had to respond to everything else that was going on, so they couldn't soak all lanes. And actually, it looks like Renovatio will, despite what I said earlier, grab level 10 just right before Negative Synergy. Let's see what it's going to be.
Yeah, they go for the strafe here. They have the Wrath of the Zerka. The one that we are looking for is, of course, also that ETC now. But I feel with this setup right now, if you don't go leap, then going stage dive would be a massive problem, and they are not doing it.
Yeah.
They go in the mosh pit. They play it completely standard at this point.
The dream is dead.
I can actually see them just like, you know, holding their options. They were waiting a bit at the beginning. You could really tell. And it's one of those moments where you can go full YOLO if you really want. If you want to YOLO it because you feel you don't have another chance, that's fine. Right now they feel they are a good spot. They go for the more standard play. I can appreciate that. Leeming, by the way, went into the wave of force against the mosh pit. So I like that too.
And it obviously doesn't synergize as well with the Maw. We've seen TNL with crazy wombo combos in the past. I know that team disbanded recently, but probably most famous for Maws into disintegrates and things of that nature. But obviously it's going to give them the disengage against the Mosh. Now we see something in this game that you very rarely see in competitive HOTS on this map is both teams just kind of almost had a gentleman's agreement to trade a boss, and nobody invaded, and both teams just kind of walk away at 0-0 for this next tribute. A very even game, 2 kills to 2 kills, 1 structure lead, 4 negative synergy. The engage potential though, because they did go for Mosh, I'd say there's opportunities on both sides.
Yeah, and well, one of the opportunities is also to steal a camp away. That's currently what Renovatio is trying to do, but we have a rotation meeting that attempt, trying to go in. They are on the point, they are getting it already. Ancestral is out at the same time. Here comes the whirlwind on Sonya. Nice, nearly the kill against Zagara. She barely gets away. They kill against Sylvanas at the same time, though. Well played from Negative Synergy. They're chasing now, and everybody for the blue team is already low. Sonya sacrificing herself more or less Sylvanas trying to get a trade here, but she is going to fall eventually, whereas the rest of the team actually escapes.
And that was a big overextension by VYY. Yeah, the Maw was really nice, but he walked on the wrong side into the turret and died as a result. It was going to be hard to get out either way,
now,
but that cost him his life.
In the early game, Sylvanas got a lot of value for Renovatio. With now the fort at the top lane gone, and of course eventually also the fort in the mid lane and bot lane potentially being destroyed, I think it's going to be a little bit more tricky to really get that value out of Sylvanas. Negative Synergy had some problems early on, but I feel with those level 10s that they currently have, their team coordination is very solid. They go once again for the tribute, and with the recent death of not only Sylvanas but also Sonya, they grab this up quite easily, which is, by the way, the 4th tribute in a row that they now captured.
Just looking at, when I'm looking at how these team fights are likely going to go, Wailing Arrow is really powerful. I think on the side of Renovatio, that's going to be the most critical one, because the heroics on Thrall and on Li Ming are going to be able to stop the Mosh, and that's going to be like obviously their main key engagement when it comes to CC, locking people down. So I think the key is to make sure that you get the Wailing Arrow off before you drop the Mosh, and if they can do that, I do think they can win the next set of team fights that are becoming more and more important as we approach level 16.
Renovatio is actually pushing like 2 lanes. The fort at the top lane has been taken down by Negative Synergy, but both the teams are now on level 13. We have Glass Cannon Shrink Ray in. There's the jump on Muradin. It's going to be very crucial to see how especially Thrall uses Sundering. There's a couple of options that he has. He can try to go for the flank, or he can also just simply use it once that Vala decides to go into strafe, so hold it back for a bit longer. So in those team fights, that's a bit of decision-making that we're going to see on the melee assassin for Negative Synergy.
Choke point's obviously very important for literally every heroic we're talking about right now, so the positioning is going to be important. Look at the arc here for Negative Synergy, but now they're going to maybe go into that choke. Okay, see, they spread here. They don't walk in all together. Robodoba here at the front, scouting a little bit. Ninja has rejoined the battle.
Oh, Zagara finds ETC, and immediately Li Ming trying to give a bit of backup, but Zagara is still safe here. Always creep to Mus, trying to get that vision for the team to make sure that there is no potential ETC flank with the mosh pit.
Ooh.
If ETC wants to land a mosh pit, he kind of has to capture everybody.
The positioning, I think, is just better for Negative Synergy. Even those roaches giving some extra zoning
It's
and
the
positioning.
poke. It's just too good.
It's too good, and this is a big problem for Renovatio. I feel like maybe it's time to just let this one go and get soaked. Even Sashin was soaking a little bit before this. They actually take a slight scaling lead. It looks like they're thinking about going in. Robodoba in good position here. He takes a lot of damage.
Now we still have the poke happening. Here comes ETC. What? There's Avatar. Silence hits a bit too late. The Divine Shield is already out, and immediately, of course, also the strafe used on the side of Vala, trying to go for the kill here. Zagara is down. ETC with a mosh pit, getting way too much value. Double kill, Thrall down, Uther dies. Sylvanas has also dropped, but that's a win for Renovatio, and they are going to get their first tribute in this 3rd game.
That's right, and you know, that everything I described before that fighting actually happens. Let's watch this again, actually, as you see the Wailing Arrow go off at the beginning. Look, there's a silence on Muradin. Divine Shield goes down perfectly here, but it doesn't matter. Once it's done, the timing on this mosh pit is perfect. It's what wins them this fight, and there was no way to interrupt because all the cooldowns were blown.
But did you see Ninja? The mosh pit hits his teammates. He's one of the few heroes that's still out, and apparently he could not interrupt the mosh pit in this moment. But he saw the clump up on Sylvanas and Vala and drops all of his spells and takes down Sylvanas. At least they got a kill out of it. Li Ming, massive, massive value in this fight for Negative Synergy, even though in the global scheme of things, of course, they lost the battle. But at least they got a few kills on their own.
All right, Harhar spots this. Looks like they're just going to trade a boss for a boss. It's 1 tribute to 1, and they don't have vision in the bot lane, so this is a vision advantage to Negative Synergy, or excuse me, to Renovatio. Harhar will be able to disengage and get out of there. So I like the idea of threatening this because Negative Synergy doesn't know for sure if they're doing the boss or not, so it does delay. He will die for it, but the boss is still going to be traded 1 for 1. And Renovatio is nearly at 16, but Negative Synergy is going to get 16 very shortly afterwards since they have their own boss pushing. And since neither team is on curse point, this next move for Negative Synergy is going to be really important. Are they going to commit to this invade? I think they should, because they have vision again at the top lane. Everyone's already rotated.
Yeah, and the big difference that we're seeing here is that the boss of the bot lane has to go up against the fort, whereas the one up to the top is already threatening keep. So you have to send someone back to defend this early. They even get the siege shines now to help with it. But it allows the steal on the night camp in the mid lane right now before the boss is taken down.
And not only that, the tributes. Now they're on curse point, and this is a huge win. Despite the fact that they don't have 16, by the time that next objective that's important comes up, they will have it. And because of the situation with vision with all the camps, now they can just kind of casually rotate back and take the giants. And it's going to be really tough for Renovatio to deny this next tribute and soak because, again, they don't have poke, which is the scary thing for them there. And this next tribute is going to be so important considering the top lane was pushed so hard. Even the keep towers got most of them destroyed.
They bought themselves a lot of time with this night camp too, so they had the time to go for 16 as well. Obviously, we still have the experience lead for Renovatio, and in kills they are only slightly behind, but negative synergy, they had all the time in the world to depush the boss at the bot lane, grab the tribute, get their own night camp, and now they can just simply group up for the next fight. They have to be careful here though. If they lose a hero right now, that would be a disaster. Li Ming moving to the top, depushing the top lane before heading into the potential team fight now over tribute number 3.
Okay, this actually could be a game-winning fight for Negative Synergy if they get enough picks here. I mean, I know we're only nearly 14 minutes into this game, but this is going to be a curse if they win it, and the top is already pushed a lot. ETC taking a lot of damage here.
Yeah, again, that's the channel. Jumpy Lion, of course, Li Ming is already in position, and Zagara is dropping the roaches.
Sashin's looking for that flank. He's trying to get that excellent sundering. This could be his opportunity. Backs off for now.
Yeah, has to, misses the wolf there. Oh, that's Sylvanas goes in, goes out again. Strafe already used. Sashin is in a bit of trouble. Up at the top, ETC is put under pressure and nearly eliminated. Slides back in the last moment as the Ancestral hits Sonya.
And here's the Maw going down. It only isolates Sonya, but that could be enough. They're going in, but Sonya, once she comes out of the Maw, is going to whirlwind right in. Sashin takes a lot of damage. Down goes the silence as well. They get the curse. Robodoma barely alive, but not anymore.
The kill against ETC. They're trying to go for Vala again. She basically survived just barely early on, but kills against Uther and Muradin turn it into a 4 versus 3. It's still negative synergy chasing though because Renovatio is so low.
VYY might die to the minions here if he's not careful. A close call there. He didn't have much backup. Stronger taking some damage. They're going to push them all the way home. And don't forget the bot lane is actually being pushed by those giants. So this is still a decent decent curse. I really feel like when we go back to that fight, the Maw was nice, but they should have maybe disengaged off of that and taken the curse instead of going past it. Because Sonya is going to come out of there, and she's going to whirlwind, you know?
They didn't call it properly. Vala escaped barely, and there were still heroes around. They could have finished her off, but they just didn't secure the kill. And then she gets healed up again by Rhaegar, and those chain heals, as you mentioned, Sonya comes back in too and puts them under pressure. And even now with the curse, they have to still get some value out of it. And it's just not going to happen because they lost 2 heroes.
When you look back at it, too, it's almost like now this curse accomplished very little for them, and now they don't have that curse point threat anymore.
Yeah.
And Renovatio is much closer to 20. They are closer to obviously getting a curse. They're not on curse point yet. But let's see what happens here with this next fight. How careful Renovatio comes in, because if they just walk into this bush...
Oh, look at this. It actually shows Zagara bot lane alone. They're like, come on.
Yeah, calm down. They're trying to bait it.
Get her, boys. She's all alone, I promise. There's nobody else there. It's not a trap.
Renovatio is not falling for this, and they don't need to rotate down because the boss is not even up for another minute.
And they're just simply leaving Zagara. They're like, guys, we are not stupid. We know what's happening.
They're like, yeah, it's fine. We'll take 20 faster. We'll get the free 20 that you guys are going to give to us. Thanks for the gift.
Yeah, and they're trying it in the mid lane, but here comes the attack now. They're trying to force a fight pre-20, and they're doing it, trying to jump on Jumpy Island, but the kill against Muradin, and they're going straight for Thrall against Divine Shield, but there comes the slide. The mosh pit interrupted, but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Ninja is on the retreat. The Ancient Spear not going to connect there, but 4 killed already, and that will be level 20 for Renovatio. We're going to take a look at this fight again. Pay close attention to this Wailing Arrow. Look at that. All the silences.
And then the isolation, Divine Shield is there. The mosh pit attempt already interrupted, but it doesn't matter. Everybody is so low. It's just a cleanup job for Renovatio. They have 11 kills against 8 now. It's a 5 versus 1 situation. And guess what? Sylvanas thrives exactly in these positions. Top lane pressure, mid lane pressure. Renovatio is everywhere now.
Yep. And this is going to be a easy mid keep, and with the Giants pushing top, they can actually go up and pressure that as well. I think it should be, you know, let's see how much they want to commit. I'm not going to say it's an easy double keep, but they could definitely pressure it.
I could have seen Sylvanas split off and try to get some extra value up at the top with only Li Ming being alive. They went for the safer play in the mid lane to secure at least 1 keep kill. I can understand it to a certain extent. You are 2 levels ahead already. Not risk anything, just try to play a game. You have bosses up on the map that you can take to, and that's exactly what they're doing right now.
They're playing very safe. Like, They're not even going to try to invade this boss, despite the fact that they have the level 20 advantage. They have the Storm Talents. Okay, now they are. Now they're coming in.
It's
A bit of a
actually
later
interesting.
rotation.
When I saw the boss attempt, I immediately jumped to the conclusion that it was Renovatio going for it, and then just a moment later, I realized it was negative synergy.
Yeah,
that surprises me a lot, to be honest.
I can't believe they just let this happen. It's a bit of a slow rotation by Harhar, but they may still win the team fight. Down goes a 3-man Sundering, though. The Osprey is stuck and silenced, and down he goes. Remember, he doesn't have level 20 yet. He's not coming back to life.
Yeah, he's definitely not. And once more, Li Ming with a poke there. But the boss is starting to move to the top lane. And if they don't... Are they trying to
Are they
finish
going to try
mid?
to, like, base?
There is
race?
no way.
Okay,
Okay,
they back off.
They burst the wave away
Okay,
and
what
they
they
go
can do
for
is just send one man. It's going to be stronger in this case to get the tribute, send everyone back.
But someone has to really start to take care of that boss at the top lane. It's already going to get solid value here. And
This is an interesting
Sylvanas is not going to be enough. They try to go for the boss at the bottom now, but that might actually result in a keep lost top.
I think
it's
they will. There's enough minions
Yeah.
here. I think they will save the keep.
It's too early in the game.
It's not the. I mean, there are several ways to go about this. It's not what I expected. Harhar is actually going to mosh here to try to get a pick on Benjamin. The boss is leashing. Huge maw goes down. Benjamin looks like he's going down as well. There's the bolt to secure it, and that's the advantage that you get at level 20.
I don't agree with the decision of Negative Synergy to fight without their healer. I mean, yes, it's a 4 versus 4, and this is maybe the best that they can hope for. They don't want to lose the boss, which is understandable, but at this point, you just have to say, let's let it go.
Yeah, let it go, Turtle. You still have your bot keep up. The boss keep is going to, you're not going to die off of a boss push.
It's a bad situation either way, but engaging into a battle without your healer is just not giving you the sustain that you need. And especially Thrall is just dependent on that Divine Shield if he goes so deep. So right now, instead of actually having an opportunity to fight 5 versus 5, they're again 2 heroes down. The boss is taken anyways.
Yeah, and they were totally okay to let the boss leash. I guess the reason why Negative Synergy decided to go for that is because they saw VYY in the top lane. They realized it could be a 4v4 fight that they could take. But again, they didn't have their Storm Talents. Harhar even gets a kill off of Bolt alone.
Yeah.
And now they're on Curse Point with a boss pushing bot, and this may just simply be too much. This is going to be it's going to take a miracle for Negative Synergy to turn this one around.
By the way, if you didn't pick up on the talents on the side of Sylvanas a bit earlier, one of the reasons, of course, why she was so strong against the boss here is, first of all, we are pre-21, mini 21 here, which is important because the boss gets a huge power spike after that, and she has Barbed Shot on level 7. But now, this is like the disaster push, because a curse just hit the red team with the tribute that was channeled. We're seeing a boss going through the bot lane. They have the 20 talents against non-20. I would be very surprised if they don't go for core here.
This is the tournament life for both of these teams. This is game 3, of the losers match. The loser is going out. Looks like Robodova is going to Dwarf Toss away. Harhar, though, trying to find an angle here. The curse allowing this push to be so powerful right now. They're looking for pick to end this game.
Yeah, boss on the core already, and all they have to do is stall or right-click.
Look at that silence. Triple man.
Again, hitting beautifully, and they are taking this game. They are taking the zeros. Renovatio takes the losers match and advances to the next round in the group.
Very, very impressive series here by Renovatio. I think they really adapted very, very well to what was happening at the beginning of the series. And to be honest, my MVP for them is definitely going to be VYY. Just always getting, soak. Also, Jumpy Lion blocking for him to get that early EXP lead in the top, just kind of messing with what Sashin was trying to do, getting that early kill versus Sashin as well. They really knew how to play a Sylvanas comp well, and on the other side of things, Negative Synergy did not know how to respond to that.
Yeah, I completely agree with this. I really felt that they had huge problems. They undervalued just like the pushing power that Sylvanas gives a lane, and they left the top lane along for too long. They just got all these structures wrecked for nothing. But overall, I have to say, Renovatio actually coordinated these fights really nicely, and they did not overextend to a moment where Negative Synergy could come back. They always moved back. They grabbed an objective. They got an opportunity here, even accepting the early curse in the early stage of the game. There were 2 curses against them, 2. And they always ended up with more experience because they just defended so well.
And I want to say one last thing before we get out of this is I feel like a rivalry between these two teams is brewing. They fought each other last time in Korea in the Spring Global Champs, and it was Negative Synergy was able to do it. This time it's Renovatio that's able to take them out in the losers match. They're obviously from a similar area of the world as well, and this is really exciting. I feel like Negative Synergy, despite being eliminated here, the first team to actually get eliminated from this tournament, they looked really strong, even versus X Team, and I think they do have a bright future in Heroes of the Storm.
I would definitely agree, but I'm also very hyped to see how Renovatio is going to do in the Constellation match. But guys, first of all, of course, we're going to hear a little bit more analysis of this 3rd game in the best of 3 series from our panel, so let's give it over to Kendrick and the boys.
Thank you very much, Calder, Kendrick, and the boys reporting for duty. Congratulations to Renovatio for making it to the deciders match. They're, of course, going to face the loser between MVP Black and X Team, and that's not an easy feat to do. And also, unfortunately, Negative Synergy is out of the tournament, so they will have to try again for the Fall Championship. But guys, what was the breaking point at which the defenses of Negative Synergy just crumbled?
I feel... I don't want to be too harsh on them, but I feel like there were several misplays time and time again, whether it be positioning, whether it be shot calls. There were so many areas to where I feel that they could have made the right call or just altered one minor thing, and that could have been a completely different story.
I absolutely agree. Yeah, I feel like I was happy with their early game. I don't think they were doing bad at all. On the contrary, but then they started losing more and more fights each and every single time. We were joking about ETC not being really relevant in that game, even prior to it starting, because we thought that he wasn't going to be able to get a good mosh pit. He got a 4-hero mosh pit at some point. Like, how did that happen? Like, they kind of let that happen. At the same time, though, there were a few mistakes from Renovatio as well, like that checking the boss into dying. That I wasn't a big fan of. He definitely was a lemon there, but he made it up very well with a 4-hero mosh pit for sure.
All right, so Jay-How, I think there is a lot of plays that deserve your attention, so let's take it.
Yeah, there's one in particular that I think we're going to enjoy quite a bit here, because this is one of the fights. Now, instantly, let's go ahead and freeze frame this right now. We see Sonya right here. The Ancestral landed right before, and she goes directly into the Maul. Now, one thing that we are going to see, on the back line, you're going to see very low. Zagara up here, the team very split. Now, let's go ahead and slow-mo this a little bit forward. Now, we're going to see Uther right here. All right, let's pause it. Now, right here, positioning's not bad. Zagara is trying to capture. They're trying to stall this entire area out. Now, the problem that we have is Uther, you're going to see him start to move forward and get a stun. This is where things start to break down. Let's go ahead and move it forward again one more time. Uther goes in very deep right here. He's going to get the stun, but the minute he does, bye-bye, Uther. The Wailing Arrow hit, everything went falling apart there. At the same time, let's roll it back a little bit. Let's roll this back just a few frames. I want to take a look at the back end. Let's go back a little bit further to the Devouring Maul side. And this is kind of the biggest thing, is that all this the entire time, let's pause it right here. Look, roll it forward 2 frames. Right here, Sonya instantly is in the back line. While Uther dives in, Sonya is in the back line, wreaking absolute havoc on their team over and over again. The minute that Maul came out, it's almost like they forgot about Sonya. We can go ahead and run this forward. You can watch it unfold once more. Uther goes in, Sonya on the back line. Over and over, you just see the plays, kind of a bit of a misplay there to go in that deep and then to avoid Sonya, and you can see that's where that fight kind of broke for them.
The funny thing about that fight is that up until that point where they kind of forgot about where Sonya was in the Maw, and as you say, you actually pointed those things out brilliantly, is that before that, Negative Cine had actually adapted their positioning very well, and they were very spread around that Tribute fight for a long time and just poking because they had learnt their lessons from the previous Tribute fight down towards the bottom.
He had Li Ming.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed how that fight started out for them, but as you say, you pointed out the significance.
Let's try to talk a little bit more about this Vala pick, because I actually had the chance to talk to some of the players from MVP during the game, and they were like, wait, why is there Vala being picked when Kel'Thas is open?
Yes.
Do you really think that Vala had an influence here, or is it just that Renovatio all around played really well in this game?
Kel'Thas could have done everything better. I feel.
A lot of things better.
Yeah. Definitely. He would have been better in denying, anybody moving forward. Thrall wouldn't have had as much room to move around. Everybody would have been caught by gravity lapses. It would have made things easier for ETC at the front. But credit where credit is due. Renovatio made it work. I was even surprised by Strafe. I was like, well, against all of that lockdown, are you going to go Strafe and make it work? Somehow they did.
So much for emulating MVP, by the way. Like, they went completely overboard with it.
Yeah. When MVP was wondering, then you're probably not necessarily following them.
Right. Their love for Vala was like way too strong in the end. It prevailed.
Yeah. So, Jay-How, drop another one and take us through replay number 2.
Yeah, this is kind of the part where things really started to stagger just a little bit towards the end. Now, let's go ahead and pause this right now. Now, here's the thing. This is what you have to know. Just take a look at the top of the screen. Who's not here, guys? Who is not here? That's Uther. He's already dead. Yes, it's 21-19. Yes, it's a boss, but I don't think this is a game-ending boss. Now, let's roll it forward. We're actually going to see the mosh pit come out there, and it doesn't really make that big of a difference. But here's the thing. Zagara getting very low. Pause it. Now, everything's looking really good. Now, keep in mind, 20 versus 19. ETC, what did he go with at 20? Bolt of the Storm, let's watch the magic happen as Zagara starts to go out. Seems a little bit safe. We see the stun there on ETC, said, wait a minute, nope, I got you. Bolt of the Storm in, makes the play, helps secure the kill to start the beginning of the end. As guys, they started to be able to push this, and this is where the boss started to go in, and that's exactly where things broke right there. They went in without their healer. Actually, I'm not sure if this is actually what broke it. They went back for the boss after this, but that was right there. The staggered deaths, going without Uther, going in once again with Zagara, not able to secure that. I feel like those were a little bit of misplays right there.
As much as it was 20 versus 19, I think Negative Synergy's rotation towards that bottom boss was a little bit late and a little bit slow. Obviously, Renovatio had to send at least one person up to the top to try and deal with that boss. So it would have been a 4v4 anyway, even though they were down one man.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that they could have rivaled it a little bit better and quicker, but that's by the by.
Either way, though, we're now being joined by Hahar from Team Renovatio, the winners, of course, of this last game. So first of all, congratulations for making it to the Deciders match. You're now going to play either MVP Black or X Team. But there was a lot of discussion about that last Vala pick. Can you tell us why you chose Vala and not Kael'thas, for example?
Actually, on our third game, we really prioritize a much more mobile hero. So we preferred Vala instead of picking off Kael'thas.
Okay, so mobility, of course, being a big factor. It's actually legit, and it made it work. So you made it work. Really, really, really cool. Now, your next opponent is going to be a big fish in the pond. It's either the reigning world champion, MVP Black, or the upcoming Team X team from China. Do you have anything special prepared? Have you actually looked at those two teams?
Yes, we especially watch the game of MVP and X Team when it's in their Gold Hero League, and we much preferred facing X Team.
All right.
Speaking of those two teams in particular, you've looked at them, okay, and you've seen that. Do you try and implement things that they do into your draft and into your gameplay? Do you study that much, or do you feel comfortable with what you guys know and do?
Actually, we do both. We study them and try to analyze their gameplay, and we combine it with our comfort picks.
Do you feel like you've excelled, or you've been able to adapt to some of those things to get better based on stuff that they do?
Yes, yes.
One of our commentators touched on the fact that he thought there was a rivalry kind of growing between you and your past opponents here. Do you think, is there some truth to that? Do you feel like you guys, like last time you lost to them, to Negative Synergy, but this time you beat them, so is there a rivalry growing there a little bit?
Actually, it's the opposite. We're really good friends with Negative Synergy. Yeah.
Is there a friendly rivalry at least?
Somehow. But we always drink after the game. So it's actually the opposite. We're really good friends with them.
That's awesome.
All right, cool. Any final words maybe to your fans out there?
Thank you for supporting us, especially those who are watching in the Philippines. Thank you. Keep on cheering for us.
All right, thank you very much, Hahar. And we're now going to take an updated look on, or not an updated look, Jesus, a look on the updated bracket, of course, for Group A. We have something up for you next. Of course, it is Renovatio facing the loser between MVP Black and X Team. But what would a global, or excuse me, a world championship here in the summer be without, of course, the Asian teams fighting it out between themselves? The Korean All-Star lineup, MVP Black against X Team. And let's not forget that X Team took out big names in China as well. OMG, EDG, they even disbanded after losing to them. So this is definitely a highlight, not only for us Westerners, but for people all around the world.
These teams are so well known that there was actually an argument, not a friendly argument, but an argument about how exciting this game is going to be, and I really want to cast this game, and I really want to analyze this game. Like amongst this group, everybody's like, I want to be a part of that game.
That did go on for around 2 hours this morning. Me and Todd will be casting that one, so get off my seat
What a
if
show
you would,
off.
please. That's fine. Thank you very
That's
much.
how exciting it is, though. That is how great these teams are. They're not known in their region. They're known worldwide for being the best, and these guys are literally fighting for the opportunity to be a part of that.
I'm pretty
that's
sure
how
Wolf
exciting
is trying to hide his tears there in a corner because he didn't get to cast his favorite Korean team.
It's kind of surreal too, because they are meeting here. You know, neither of these teams is through to the next round yet.
Yeah,
like
it's
obviously,
true.
one of them is going to make it now, but one of them has to fight in another match against Renovatio. So big match that we get early, and I mean, we can't complain, can we?
No, I don't think we can complain at all. They're getting a heck of a show this early. I mean, we're in day number 2. You get MVP Black versus X Team.
And the good thing about what Todd just mentioned is the fact that I actually think that it's a wild shot, but if the likelihood of MVP moving forwards in first place occurs or whatever, I actually think Renovatio versus X Team is a pretty hype match myself.
I
think
agree.
that Renovatio could give them a run for their money. I would say like 70-30, 75-25 split, like still in favor of X Team, but Renovatio certainly has some
Quarter lemon
chops.
versus three-quarter lemon?
Yeah. All about the fruit and veg. It's fine.
Right. So, guys, we've been talking about this upcoming match quite extensively, but it is also your turn out there in front of the computers to actually participate in this discussion. There is the hashtag HGC waiting for you to get used, and you can share your predictions, your opinions on the last games as well. Everything is ripe for the taking, so join us here, and I'll be very happy to welcome you back after a few minutes of commercial break, so don't go anywhere.